Hey, let's see. Welcome to the late night chat. Are we recorded? Yeah, we're being recorded. Um, and JC, if you can post that email. Well, Sharon, are you? Do you? Would you feel like reading?
Sure.
Okay,
I
it'll be
don't.
posted
Okay.
here in a moment.
The late night chat topic, the place of evil and suffering. Dear folks of Baba, some of you have expressed the wish to discuss the phenomenon of evil and suffering in this life. It is one of the essential challenging questions facing most caring and empathetic people living in this world. Why do people have to suffer pain and be the victims of cruelty? If God is love, why do these things have to happen? Many people during World War II lost their faith in God after witnessing atrocities perpetuated before their very eyes. Such cruelty is not just of the past, but is going on in the world even now. There are explanations that Baba has given and can be inferred from things he has said that will satisfy the mind to some extent, but it is in the deepest heart, which has endured much pain and suffering, that love, not the mind, answers the question. It is a deeply felt knowing. All the masters have said, through great suffering, we come to accept what is, however painful and disagreeable it might be. What are some of the explanations that Baba has given? He has said, evil is a lingering relic of an earlier good. We can infer from Baba's description of the evolution of consciousness that souls are always coming in from the animal kingdom to become human beings. They arrive, of course, with love, but also with many untamed impulses. What was needed for a tiger to sustain itself is through attacking and devouring other creatures. That same trait, when manifested in the human kingdom, is considered evil, unacceptable. New souls entering human form as they act out their dormant animal impressions are naturally destructive and sometimes even cruel. We, as Baba lovers, were once just in from the animal kingdom ourselves, creating tremendous havoc, no doubt. But in the overall context of our evolution and involution, everyone, through the experience of good and evil and our ever-growing love, will one day become divine. The negative and evil things in this world often serve the purpose of waking us up. Balkalchuri, one of Baba's intimate mandali, used to say, sometimes it takes a nightmare to wake us up from a pleasant dream. Through the ups and downs of life, some in the extreme, we are pushed to go deeper beyond where we are right now. Sometimes very negative things happen to people, but often as a result of what they have done in a past life. For example, Barrow Williams, a longtime Baba lover who grew up in Jamaica and New York City in the 1920s, 30s, and 40s, suffered intensely from the prejudice that she frequently faced in being Black. In Myrtle Beach, where she first met Baba, she asked him why she was born Black in this life. He replied, "Because in the past you were very cruel to Black people." Unquote. This was not a punishment, but an opportunity to experience the other side of prejudice so that she would be less likely to express it toward others in the future. Much to the shock of others, Bao would say, "No one is really innocent." Unquote. The deeper theme of creation is designed to awaken compassion in us. Many of the sufferings we have endured over the course of countless lifetimes really make us more loving and compassionate. I have jokingly said that if I had the triune attributes of God, creator, preserver, and destroyer, this world would be a veritable junkyard because I would emphasize creation and preservation and go light on destruction. And what a mess this world would be. Vast warehouses would have to be constructed to hold all the things I would preserve. Destruction, unfortunately, has its place. Winter, with all its damage, cannot be eliminated from the cycle of seasons without upsetting the balance of nature. Murshida Ivy Deuce, the head of Sufism Reoriented, once asked Baba the most crucial question, quote, "Why should misery perpetually exist on earth in spite of God's infinite love and mercy?" Unquote. He replied, quote, "The source of eternal bliss is the self in all. The cause of perpetual misery is the selfishness of all. As long as satisfaction is derived through selfish pursuits, misery will always exist. Only because of the infinite love and mercy of God can man realize, through the lessons of misery on earth, that inherent in him is the source of infinite bliss, and all suffering is his labor of love to unveil his own infinite self." Unquote. It all depends on how we view what happens to us on this earth. It can be viewed as a place of horrific injustice. There is ample proof for that. Or it can be seen as a place where love is breaking through its limitations to become divine. There is a well-known saying, "Suffering is inevitable, misery is optional." Suffering is inevitable, misery is optional. It all has to do with how we interpret evil and inflicting suffering on others. But this does not mean we condone these in ourselves. How do you react when what happens violates your most cherished values and ideals? How does your heart experience the suffering and evil that you witness? Does it make you feel pessimistic about life? Does it cause your heart to close, or does it challenge you to open your heart to something greater? I would like to hear what your experience is. In his love, Jeff.
Okay, thank you, Sharon. Beautiful. And, I realize I'm on the center where we're not supposed to talk about politics, but I'm sure we can talk about this and not name any names. Um, but, it's, it's a very difficult, this is kind of a charged topic. It's very difficult to deal with the negativity of this world that goes against our completely sometimes against our most cherished values and ideals, and at the same time stay positive. And adding to this, it's that feeling of being so powerless to do anything to make the world a loving place, seemingly. But Baba has given Baba, later on, I'll mention some of the things that Baba has said that what we can do in the face of these things, or how we can help the world, not necessarily getting out on a picket line or a protest movement, but what we can do from where we are. And so there are various ways we can try to face this. And anyway, I'll open it because I would like to hear what you folks have to say. Whoopsie daisy. Um, Anybody? Oh,
I'll dive in.
yeah, good.
So that last paragraph is like a sucker punch because right now things are happening on a daily basis for the last 6 days. So I'm not naming names, but for the last 6 days, everything that my moral compass is totally thrown off. And I'm doing everything I can to not go down the rabbit hole of total fear, because the intention is to get people exactly in that point. But we live here in Venice, California, where we have just seen our precious city go up in flames, and we know way too many people who have lost every material item that they have. So we've been talking a lot about the difference of, not the difference, but suffering. We all are going to have suffering. That's a given. And like you said so eloquently, it's your attitude or it's what you do with that suffering that keeps you in pain or out of pain. So it's really, I feel like I've never held on I've been with Baba since 2013, held on to him stronger than I am right now. And I will take, I come to Baba Zoom just to have the lullaby to my heart, to know that there's love out here and people out there doing right by people. So that's it for now.
Yeah, beautifully said. I mean, that's the situation. If you have a sensitive heart, this period of human history is very difficult. You know, you could be indifferent or view it all as an illusion. To me, that doesn't work for me. I have to feel it and then try not to be brought down. There's a line that Baba said to Wendy inwardly, don't let what I bring up in you bring you down. And boy, this is bringing up stuff for sure.
Paula.
Hi,
Yeah.
J Bob, everybody. And that was so beautiful, Jeff. You write these passages that these you write them, don't you?
I do.
You research and you
Usually
write
at
them.
5 in the morning.
But they're so beautiful. It was so beautiful. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So I remember earlier in the week, it was such a crazy week. I mean, are you kidding? I mean, I don't know if we've ever been through more chaos than this past week or whatever. It just seems like just so immense. And I belong to this well, I have this message thread that I belong to, mostly Baba women, actually here in Asheville area. And so I get to kind of not act out, but get to, kind of get hysterical on there. And it was the day that so and so named he said he changed the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America and all this. And then he renamed Denali or something in Alaska, which was Native American territory, you know. And I just remember, like, I felt like, is this for even real? That because there's just no limits on you know, one person. I know I'm not supposed to talk about this, but anyhow, I realized that the thing is, I cannot afford to be in total fear all the time. It plays such havoc with my psyche to be in a place of fear. And sometimes I think I'm really surrendering to Baba. And then the next day I'll be just hysterical. And I'm just really having a hard time with it, you know, that roller coaster. And I don't know. It's just been really, really difficult for me. And but the one thing I know is that we cannot afford to, or I cannot afford to go to total fear, because that's kind of the purpose of all this chaos, is so that we be fearful. And I cannot surrender to that. And so the best thing for me is to just put one foot in front of another, be present in my moments, fully. You know, I went to a sleepover party for my granddaughter, who, I don't know if you guys know, but she was born. I have a granddaughter who was a miracle baby, because she was born at 1 pound 4 ounces. You know, she just turned 7. She's going to turn 7 in 2 days. And we just had a little sleepover party for her. And just like, I have to be amazed at like what grace and what great fortune that I get to have her in my life, you know? So anyhow, it's just moments. It's just really about it. It is really about that we can be miserable or we can be grateful and focus on what is good. So anyway, that's about it.
Yeah, I think we're going to hear a number of people share your same sentiments. Whoop, I think Nasreen and Mahmoud, they got their thing on. So, yeah, there, you know, Baba, there's a saying of Baba's where he says, "It is infinitely better to hope for the best than to fear the worst." Amazing quote. It's not just better, it's infinitely better. But it's a great challenge given this world today. So, Rich.
Well, this is difficult for me because on the one hand, it's pretty generalized, but just for the grins of it, I have to say that I was playing canasta the other day, and my partner and I got beat badly. The other party threw a trump card down and just beat the heck out of us. It was terrible. Okay, all right. Inside joke. And but anyway, when I'm like Paul in a way, when I look at suffering from don't even, when I look at suffering from the personal side, you know, the guy that was in charge of Syria, and who knew what was going on in the worldly events. But I heard some of the news on the show, and it's like, if I listen to it and I think about what it is, I get angry, very hostile and angry. And that's not going to solve anything. And it doesn't really affect me directly. But we know that we've all probably been in wars. We've all probably been injured, lying on a field somewhere, dying and suffering immensely. It's just a normal part of being human and throughout history in one way or another. But my real thoughts on suffering tend to be more social psychological. And I guess I could be specific, saying that people who go to work every day and have to go to work, have to show up, but they really can't afford the kind of place that they would prefer to live in, or maybe they have a junky car, or maybe they have 2 kids and really are concerned about what their future might be. And things like that are very stressful. and they go on. They can go on for years, you know, and they present a challenge. And anytime the world doesn't offer opportunities, and that happens around the world, wherever you go. But that kind of suffering is also a part of life, other than just physical. And for me, even though it was years and years ago, I heard of Baba, but it was then that slowly and sometimes instantaneously, Baba made me realize more and more and more that being responsible for living in this world and then trying to remember him. And it's just decades and decades, Jeff knows that. But that is the real job, no matter what the joys or rewards or suffering could be available to people. And it's easy to be intellectual about it. But on the other hand, we've all had so many different experiences where we have tried to make choices that serve our best interest and also our heart. And that Baba gives us that energy, opportunity, wisdom, and insight, and some of his light, if we can see it, to do that. So that's the remarkable thing about living in all of this with Baba. He gives us something that otherwise we don't really have. And that would be real suffering. Thank you.
Yeah, beautifully said. Rich.
Ron?
Yeah, I wanted to bring up maybe a couple of different items that appeal to me and have come to me that I don't know everything. In fact, I know almost nothing, and I'm certain of pretty much nothing. So I don't know why it is that this mind of mine loves to jump to thinking that it knows what's happening and what's going to happen and what did happen. It seems to think that it knows all this stuff. But if I can remember that it doesn't, then I wouldn't fall into this typical trap that Maya seems to lay out with everything, everyone, and every circumstance in life. It seems to want to say that it's permanent. So as soon as something happens, I think, oh my God, this is permanent. You know, this is going to be the worst thing ever. Well, I pretty much convinced myself now that that's not true. So if I can remember that, it helps me to not fall into that trap. Then there's the pervasive aspect of things. So you see somebody who acts rude to you or something like that, so you immediately think they're a bad person, an evil person, because in one incident they acted rudely or they did something thoughtless or harmful. But I don't know that. It's just my mind playing tricks and taking things personally on my account, on my end, is really inappropriate because it's all situational. This person doesn't necessarily dislike me. It may have seemed like it. I may have had the thought of it, but I just took it personally. It may have just been a situation where they were having a bad day and they said something thoughtless. I don't know them. I don't know what motivated them. So thus eliminating as much suffering that's self-induced, self-created is a wonderful way to try to avoid it. Baba did say that 99% of our suffering is self-created. I'm pretty sure that's in the literature.
Yeah.
And I take these things seriously, and thus it makes life much more beautiful and worth being part of it. Anyhow, that's good for them.
Yeah.
Oh,
Very good,
I just wanted to
Rodney.
say one other thing.
Yeah.
There was a program this morning on the Baba Zoom network of Nick Principe. He was telling stories about his own life, which had been filled with tremendous physical suffering and other kinds of suffering. And he did a wonderful job in relating the story and how he has come to deal with it over the years by talking reading Baba's sayings and literature about it, and also talking with the Mandali about it. So I recommend it'll be on YouTube if it's not already soon, and have a look out for it. It's very good.
Mhm. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
We've had Nick on this late night chat a couple of times at least. Yeah. Okay.
Tony?
Okay. Um, it's tricky to talk about something without talking about it, but I'm going to try. I think if you look at the state of the world prior to World War II, and I mean like not even during the buildup, but say 10, 20 years prior, if you read things that were written then, there was such a narrow consciousness all around the world, particularly in the Western world, where there were misogyny, bigotry of all types, nationalistic hatreds, and so much blatant, rampant egoism on various levels, and then World War II came along, and it brought all of that to the surface in the most horrible ways and crystallized it, and it was horrible. It was horrible, and for 4 years, 4 or 5 years. But in the aftermath, there was a real sense in the world that we had learned something. And I think there was a lift in consciousness, and there was a more sense of uh, stepping aside from bigotry and narrow identifications and all that. And I think a lot of us, I think the world in general, felt, okay, we're going to be okay now. Back, let's see, in 2014, I guess it was, uh, someone was running for office, a big high office, and I was not into politics. I certainly had never campaigned for anyone, except maybe I wore a Kennedy button, JFK button. but but I campaigned for this person because I had the clear awareness, if this person did not win and get into the White House, we were at a turning point, and either we were going to have to face the worst, or if we got this person and supported what he stood for, we could get through this era without having to experience all the horrors. And because there was not enough integrity on both sides and honesty, it didn't happen. And at one point, though, I was hopeful, and there were primaries going on, and I was saying it really can happen. And Baba seemed to be encouraging me, and I said, Baba, let this person win this primary big. It looks like he's going to win, but let him win big so that they'll stop saying he's not serious. And I got a clear inner sense from Baba that it was not going to happen, that he wanted me to continue campaigning for what that person represented, but that he was not going to make it. It was kind of like telling Sarosh, with this woman he was sweet on, do your best to persuade her, but she's going to say no. Anyway, it did turn out the way it is now, and it's really bad. And we have seen in the last week worse than we could have imagined really happening, the change in the world. And it's just the tip of the iceberg. So while I would like to believe there's a way out of it, or a way through it, or it could well be that this is the big one, and this is the one where it gets as bad as it could possibly get before Baba's manifestation happens, before the real full awakening of consciousness. And so it's one thing to not fear. It's important not to fear. But on the other hand, I think real surrender in this situation involves accepting whatever happens to be surrendered to Baba, and to trust, ultimately to trust. A lot of these people, they died in the bombing of London. what's her name? Delia was there. She wasn't killed, but it was close ones to Baba were in the thick of it. Let me see. Just in terms of things happening for reasons that we don't know, it's kind of Kenmore. I've shared this before that Kenmore, Baba called Carrie Kenmore to be with him in November of 1968, which was the time of the Nixon-Humphrey election. And one in Mondley Hall, Baba would chat, and just how's everything, what's going on. And at one point, Harry said, well, Baba, looks like Humphrey's going to win. And Baba said, oh, that's by your will, is it? and and later, Erich said to him that Baba had told them as early as March that Nixon must come into the White House. And many people consider Nixon the beginning of the road that led us here. And yet, for some reason, this ugliness that we're seeing in so many people, the hatred against particular groups, of the callousness, breaking up families, all of this was present inside of people in this country. It was present. I mean, Baba has just, if you say Baba has, I think it's just God, Baba as God. It's brought this to the surface. It couldn't stay there. We couldn't survive without that being purified. The other thing is I don't like blocking people on Facebook. And I have one or two friends who have political leanings that are becoming increasingly unpleasant. And one, I had to block someone. He actually said to me, you'll feel happier if you block me. And it's a Baba person. And I knew what he was saying is he couldn't stand hearing the things I was saying. And he would feel better if I blocked him. So I did. Someone else who I don't feel safe with some of the things that I say because I've read what people of that persuasion say among themselves because I have one or two friends in those camps. And I've heard it expressed that people who express views like me should be put in prison, should be killed. And this is just people commenting, and they're all agreeing with each other, So it's a scary time. The other thing that I noticed was I've had some issues with blood pressure, and I had a heart attack in 2017, and I got 2 stents. But last year, for some reason, my blood pressure was perfect, both sides. The left's usually higher than the right. And I went to get some blood work this week, and lately, my blood pressure is getting worse. And it was doing so well. And in talking to the person who was taking my blood for this, these tests, I said, it just suddenly got worse. Suddenly got worse at the time of the election. And that's the first time I realized that what's going on here was having an effect on me. And that big surge where it had suddenly gone totally to normal was during that brief period before the election where it looked like this country was going to go back to normal. So I can't say I'm aloof or that I'm surrendered or anything else. I feel it, like all of us, I feel it. And I don't know what to do except best I can, trust Baba, accept what's happening, and hope for the best. And hope for the best. I wish I could say something more encouraging, but I don't think we're in a very encouraging time right now.
Yeah.
Jai Baba.
Yeah.
Avatar Mayor Baba Ki Jai, Mayor.
Yeah. Tony, you covered a lot there. Yeah. Right from your heart. So, Denise. Oh, Denise? Oh, how about going to Christina?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Tony, thank you so much. That is exactly what I've been thinking. I mean, almost to the point. You know, the only thing I can add is that it just feels like norms have been flipped upside down and completely decimated, in a way that I don't think we've ever seen before in this country. Just decimated. And it feels relentless. And it does feel scary. And I think people feel really vulnerable, and rightly so. I know people that are moving out of the country because of the political environment and feeling unsafe. And I don't blame them one bit. For myself, it just feels so, for lack of a better word, crazy, absolutely crazy. The only thing that I could feel that could explain it is that this is Baba. This is Baba. And it's not that he's trying to hurt us, but I think you made a good point, Jeff. There's the destruction aspect of God, and to destroy it, like Tony was saying, to bring it up, bring it out like a boil, and you lance it, right? But there's so much collateral damage. It's hard to accept. There's the potential of real harm. And that part is really hard to accept for me. So I feel like I'm in a bit of a conundrum. I want to accept what is, because that brings me peace. But it's hard to see the pain out there. So that's all I have to say.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I agree with you. It's hard to see and know what's can happen to some of our own people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even in this town, which is unfortunate, the people from Mexico and South America and Central America, I mean, this has been for years and years. They don't go out after dark in case they get stopped, because then they might be traced back to their house where they're undocumented people, and they're scared. I mean, this has gone on for years.
Yeah.
This is happening. My God, in our own doorstep, our own neighborhoods. Yeah, here in Myrtle Beach, anyway.
Mm.
Well, I don't know where Jay Sema is, but I'll go ask Peter. I did try Denise, but
Oh, I can talk now. I don't know, my arm kind of froze and I couldn't press my unmute button for some reason. But
okay, yeah.
yeah, I can talk. I just want to say that I really agreed with a lot of what Tony said. Um, it's really hard to be poised these days, but I've been thinking that Bible lovers must all recognize that Bible said 300 or three-quarters of the world was going to be destroyed. I mean, I think it's happening. It's Mother Nature's involved too. So all we can do is our best and, leave the rest to him. I just feel bad. I mean, I'm going out and I'm totally ready, but I have kids, and I just don't want to picture them having to suffer through what's going to happen. I have a strong feeling that, civilizations rise and fall, and this is a fall. So what are you going to do? Yeah, like I said, it's hard to stay poised. I've had a hard time sleeping, but then I have to well, it's Baba's will, and these are all players that are doing what they're supposed to be doing. So I don't know, I guess that's all I can contribute, but
Yeah, no, it's, I can feel that. I think of it, as everything is Baba's will, but not everything is his wish. I, you know, his wish is that we put love into this world. His will is kind of karmic.
well, I guess that's part of doing our best, is like contributing where we can.
Yeah, to
I
try
mean,
to
there's
be as
people
loving
that
as
need
we.
help with the food kitchens and stuff like that right now. So maybe that's part of what you mean,
Yeah,
putting
there
in
are a lot
love.
of different. Luckily, there are a lot of different ways that we can express love in this world, but I have something later on I'll read from Baba that gives us a little bit of hope.
Oh, good.
Nina?
Tina, don't see Tina. Let's move on to Janet.
Peter
I'm
mentioned him
here.
again.
Oh, you're there? Okay. We'll start with Tina first.
Okay. I have a son. He just vilifies me and he blames all his problems on me. And it's just hard to take. And
Yeah.
I answered him. I answered his recent email with, "What you think of me is none of my business."
You said that to him.
Yes,
Yeah.
I don't know what to do.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like we have said, all you can do is hold a loving space for those who, and hopefully one day they'll
He
feel
says
safe.
I'm a terrible person. I don't know who he's talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, no, I know you've had to deal with this for years.
Yes, 3 years.
Yeah.
And it's not
Sometime give
getting
me a
any
call.
easy.
Sometime give me a call. Okay, we'll talk about it. And when are you coming down here next?
I don't know. I don't have plans.
Uh-huh. But anyway, I'll put my phone number in.
Okay, in
Yeah.
chat.
Yeah.
Tina, it's such a specific form of suffering for you, but I don't know if this would help, but you could always envision your son with light, and think of Baba. Just put Baba on him. That could soothe some of your angst about it and, any negative feelings you might feel about it. I don't know. Good luck.
Thank you, Rich.
Yeah. It's the Erich said that the whole purpose of creation is to remind you to remember him. And these types of things certainly get us on our knees remembering Baba. Hey, so let's go to Janet there out in Boulder, California, Boulder, Colorado.
Yeah. Okay, Baba, thanks.
Yeah.
Um, well, I feel my experience of the last while is that not only is the external world of our country chaotic, but also my personal world. I mean, it seems like in my family and my extended family that there's hardly a spot I can turn where someone isn't experiencing personal suffering, deep personal suffering. yeah, I have a son who is experiencing incredibly deep personal suffering and doesn't know if he really is meant to be in this world. And he's only 41 years old. And of course, his sisters, my daughters, and I are paying close attention and involved in everything. But I mean, I feel like I talk to Baba. I write little notes to Baba about how he's doing. Um, he's sweet as can be, but I think that's part of the problem. You know, he just doesn't know if he's meant to be in this world, and so it's heartbreaking. It's totally heartbreaking, and so I mean, I am really searching to. I'm trying to connect with Baba, but I'm searching for those moments in the day that I can feel, uplifted by things. And whether it's just something to look at in nature or whatever. And there's a piece of me that, in all honesty, that like I'm thinking, Baba, who are you? What are you? I mean, not that I don't read and I don't have answers to that question, but deep in my heart, I'm like, really, Baba, I know that, the aim of life is to love God. The goal of life is to become one with God and all of that. But there's a piece of me that's kind of feeling, Baba who? Only the WHO who, not the HU who. Baba who? Who? What is this? And so it's kind of leading me into a place of questioning. And I mean, maybe that's a good thing in the end, but it's a hard thing. I will say that. I mean, I have to hold on to him because I don't have anything else. So I'm not letting go, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, who is this Baba that I'm holding on to? And why? And yeah, that's enough.
Yeah,
There's
no,
there,
beautifully said. And, we kind of think of Baba as aloof of this. He's feeling this all the more. What we're feeling is he is suffering it all the more, I feel. To witness, there was one person of, works here at the center. She had a vision of Baba. She saw Baba after the couple elections ago. And Baba was there on his bed and he was very kind of despondent, where she actually felt that. And what he conveyed to her is, I tried my best. I've got to remember this in the exact words. I tried my best, but humanity, and they didn't take me up on it. That's not. I mean, that's not the words. But now humanity has to go the hard way. In other words, I mean, that was her her experience. I mean, and we are kind of going the hard way, and it manifests externally and internally too. I find the world a pretty heavy place. It does make me say Baba's name inwardly, just to counterbalance the influx of the density and the negativity that's in this world. It's a lot of work internally, I find. So, and I'm sure we're all stuck with this. I mean, we are forced to remember Baba for sure, but I do feel Baba feels this far more than we do. This isn't just, he's not just up, aloof somewhere looking down on us. He's down in the trenches more than we are, I feel. I never feel, and so because he's, feeling us, feeling for feeling, pain for pain, hurt for hurt. He's with each one of us. Anyway, let's go on.
Peter.
Solamasi.
Yes, sir. I'm lowering my hand and saying my prayer. Saying my prayers because I think my blood pressure is up now. My doctor said that, last time I went to a doctor for the first time, a new doctor in Pinellas County, and he said your blood pressure now would send you. I'd recommend you to go to the emergency room. I'm like, oh Lord, this allopathic healthcare system, I would not want it. I'm really nervous sharing because there's 36 people on the line. I feel like I'm about to lose 37 or 36 with what I want to say. And I was very, very disappointed last week because the provisional ego is something that's very near and dear to my heart. I feel like it's either saved my life or kept me from deeper suffering because a therapist said I was in the worst category of veterans when it came to let's just say dark thought. I said, I've been dealing with this for a long time. I know how to deal with it. I'm trying to think how to tread tenderly here because I'm also thinking about Tina and wanted to give suggestions, but I'm going to hold off on that for the moment. When I had read through The Real Treasure, and now I'm almost through again, volume 4, there was a story that came up. And as far as I'm concerned, the impact did not have what I wanted it to. And being a very empathic person, I need to hear that people like it or else I'm flat. And it rarely happened. Sometimes it did. But there's a story that I read and it so turned me off. It made me more and more, it made my heart colder. And it made it so that, let's just say, I don't think I could get away from Mayor Bob if I tried. To me, I'm caught in his net. If people would say, who am I? I'm a devotee of Mayor Bob, and that's who I am. But to follow him based on what I have seen and read, I just don't feel I can do it with my whole heart. But I wanted to read a story from The Real Treasure. There was a time years ago, I read a book, Slaughterhouse. And when I found out what happened to the animals, I said, that does it. I will never eat fast food again. I'll never pay for fast food again. That kind of toxic stuff. I don't want to give those people any more money than they, I don't want to invest any more money in them. But the name of the story is Baba in a Hurry to Awaken Humanity. May I? Anybody mind?
Yeah, go ahead. These are
It's
great
not,
books.
It's not a very, what's that?
They're great books, really valuable.
This isn't a very, it's a relatively short story. It says, oh, deep breath. Just recently, I was sharing my thoughts with Marwan Jassawala based on what the Mondli had said about Baba's work. I said to him, it appears to me that Baba's main work is to awaken humanity from this illusory dream, and he uses suffering as his tool to accomplish it. In a way, I feel like the point's being faded, though. I was hoping, Jeff, to be the first person. I was hoping you were going to want to talk. I'm like, no, you shouldn't be the first person. So I was going to jump in, and it didn't happen. When he was in the physical body, he subjected the Mongoli members and his close lovers to intense suffering. Wherever he traveled for his so-called important spiritual work, those places are facing major crises, either in the form of wars, internal strife, or natural calamities at present. All this, I believe, is the result of the work that Baba did. His objective being to make the dream really unpleasant so that we turn to him in all earnestness and awaken faster from this illusory suffering, which is nothing but a dream. I wonder, though, that if turning to him with wholehearted remembrance is the key to awakening, then what is the need to use suffering as a tool? I think I messed that up. I'm going to read that again. Oh, God, I can barely see it. His objective being to make the dream reality. His objective being to make the dream really unpleasant so that we turn to him in all earnestness and awaken faster from this illusory suffering, which is nothing but a dream. I wonder, though, if turning to him with wholehearted remembrance is the key to awakening, then what is the need to use suffering as a tool? Why was emphasis not laid on different methods and approaches, including meditative techniques for wholehearted remembrance to reach that goal? Merowan gave the following reply. Suffering wipes out the age-old sanskaras very rapidly, which cannot be achieved by remembrance alone. Also, suffering automatically turns the mind toward God. Yeah, I know that that's been very much my experience to go into provisional ego. It's like Bobby used an offer that I couldn't refuse. I resent it and thankful. In this manner, suffering also strengthens your remembrance of him, and together they both help you in reaching the goal quickly. Trying to use only remembrance and meditative techniques to reach the goal has its pitfalls. The dangers on the path are many, as a tendency is there for pride to set in. Also, a person following that path might get deluded into believing that he has reached the goal and start cultivating disciples, whereas on the path of suffering, the risk of such a pitfall does not exist for the aspirant. Suffering eliminates pride and teaches one humility. These are the qualities that the aspirant must have on the path, and suffering helps one cultivate it in the fastest possible time. Baba is in a hurry to awaken everyone. Even in Baba's films, you see he was always in a hurry. He wanted things to be done very quickly. He would give a certain time for his lovers to be present, but would often show up much earlier and would be disappointed when he found that his lovers were not present. Where his work was concerned, he did not like to waste time and wanted all his close lovers to take part in it with all seriousness. All that you see happening in the world at present, including terrorism, I want to cry, wars and natural calamities, it's all a part of Baba's plan to awaken humanity as quickly as possible. Merowan's statement reminded me of something similar that Khurshid had said. Khurshid had a tremendous zest for life and she liked good food. Once she was describing to someone how all the special Parsi non-veg dishes were prepared. When she finished doing that, she turned to me and asked me if I ate non-veg. I explained to her that although I had eaten it in the past, I couldn't do so now because of my chronic digestive problems. I drew her attention to the fact that, unlike in the past where the animals were bred naturally, modern technology was used to breed animals in animal farms in a very unhygienic and unhealthy way. They were injected with various vaccines, antibiotics, and also growth hormones to make them grow big faster. In the process, the animals, while being bred, were subjected to a lot of suffering. They were subjected to so much cruelty just to increase the profit margins of those breeding them. Not only are the animals suffering, but those who eat such artificially bred animals tend to come down with various diseases in the long run.
Peter, we only have so much time left.
Is that so? All right, I'll pass there. Punchline.
Jeff, you were
Jeff,
muted.
you are
Jeff, you're
on
muted.
mute, Jeff.
Yes, I guess apparently my computer's making a little humming sound. I don't know if you're hearing that. But yeah, what a amazing thing that you read there, Peter. I mean, that's from, Marwan Jessawala, Erich's brother, and Baba said this, see this young boy when he was a kid, see, he's a saint. This is way these people look at this stuff. So it's a rough time. Okay, let's go on.
Can I offer a few things here?
Yeah.
Okay. In the talk that I was mentioning earlier that Nick gave this morning, the first quote that he offered was about free will. And he said that it was either Erich or Bao, I can't remember which one it was, said something like that there's the only free will that you could say is free will is with regard to one's attitude. So, I think we can create and push for certain attitudes, and that really helped me feel that, because I've been thinking about that for years now, and it was so good to hear it put in that manner. And I thought of 3 words that I think Baba would love as far as our attitudes that we might take on for his purposes. And those are bold, brave, and daring. I do believe he loved all those. Now, the other thing I just wanted to give is 2 little quotes that I found on this piece of paper stuck in the discourses, which I pulled out. It was like, I think it's stuck in volume 2. And this first part of it, there's two short little quotes. I think it came from a talk that Wendy Haynes gave. That's my memory. I wrote it down because I really liked it. I thought it was important. And is Tina here?
Yeah, she's still here.
Oh, good. Yeah, Tina's
Yeah.
there. Okay. So I thought of it after Tina said what she said. And the first part goes, be mind. Oh, and I think what Baba's response was to somebody who was dealing with somebody who was very, very difficult. And they felt totally helpless on trying to deal with the relationship. So he says, be mindful of the goodness in all. I'll take care of the crap. That was attributed to Baba.
Wow.
Now, and then the second part of it was to love all is not to love me. To love me in all is to love me.
Yeah. In fact, he said, to love me is to love all. To love me in all is to love me. To love all is not to love me. That was a kind of a shock.
That's the beauty. That's the beauty of the beloved, is he can be loved in all. And all we have to do is just focus on the one, and that love extends to all.
Yeah.
In his
I've
own
got a quote
magical
on
way.
that.
It's magical.
Yeah.
Bob,
Yes, I've been thinking lately about one of Baba's discourses in which he says that our separateness is a total illusion, that we're all deeply connected in ways that we can't see. And that ties into Paula earlier brought up the roller coaster, and that's what I've been experiencing. With the situation in the world and lately our political situation, I have experienced more ups and downs than I ever have before in my life. And it got to the point where it was really frightening for me. I thought, I've never experienced anything like this before. So I think, and a number of you have mentioned about feeling this way, and I think so much of it is just we can't avoid this. Even not listening to the news, things are going to filter in and affect us. I started thinking, what is going on? Am I losing my mind? Do I need a psychiatrist? Do I need some kind of medication? But Baba takes me out of that place. I mean, I just have no idea what I would do in this world right now without Baba and his saving grace and repeating his name and, his presence early in the morning when I'm reading whatever it is that I'm reading, and that happens occasionally and just absolutely saves me, because it just I've never well, as Tony said, all of this stuff has to come up. Baba said that all of this muck has to come up from the subconscious so that it can be dealt with. That happens individually, but it also happens societally. But the flood that's happening now is it's incomprehensible. It's unbearable at times. So Jai Baba, thank you. That's all.
Jeff, you're muted.
I think of Baba is wholesome, pure wholesomeness. And in the world today, we need to, he's more valuable than ever, just to be able to tune into real wholesomeness in a world that is losing a lot of its wholesomeness. Okay.
Rich.
Well, I love what Ron said, and I think that really summarizes how we can all afford to live with all this quote unquote chaos. But I wanted to relate a small story, but before I do, I think that every one of us here has some amazing, and I mean it, amazing, just drive to love Baba. There's no other way to explain how we are all here and who he is without that. And Baba looks for people like us. The avatar calls people like us, but when he finds you, he's not going to let go. But anyway, my little story was about from the beginning of November through about the middle of January, which is not long ago. For 10 weeks, I suffered from one thing after another. It was pretty horrendous. I shared it with several people in the RT and all this, but different things happened. And at first it was a mental sort of psychic thing and blah, blah, blah. But anyway, but then it devolved into physical. And so I had complete diarrhea for a week. And then, and I went to the doctor and he gave me a pill and it came out of that. Then I got the flu. So I went to my normal doctor's appointment. She gave me a flu shot. And then I really got the flu. And I just was, and then I was trying to wake up one morning, pull off my pajamas and get dressed to go somewhere. And I tweaked my pelvises and guy had a sciatica attack like I never had it before. And so I can't walk. I've got the flu. I'm puffing out green stuff out of my nose like you couldn't believe. And I'm going through it. So for 10 weeks, I'm going straight through this. One night, I had the flu and the sciatica for about 4 weeks solid. And I just told Baba, I cannot take anymore. I can't take anymore. I just can't. And so I had an appointment the next morning with the doctor about, the bronchitis or whatever I was going to get, or the sinus infection. I don't know. But anyway, this is the weirdest thing. And I do not attribute Baba to miracles unless it's just some benign coincidence that we can all have. But I walked out of the doctor's office without him. He gave me a prescription, but all of a sudden the whole thing freaking lifted. I had the flu just went. I've never experienced anything that clean and clear, a clear, discrete break from having it one night, not being able to breathe. I mean, I spent 1 week breathing through my mouth. I couldn't breathe through my nose for a week. Couldn't go to sleep because of sciatica. Had almost no REM sleep. And all of a sudden, bam. And so I hate to say this really, but I prayed to Mara and to Baba. And I said, please, I can't take anymore. The very next day. And I'm not promoting anything. I'm just saying that Baba's compassion is there for all of us and whatever anyone is going through in the world. We have to rely on his compassion. We don't have anything else. We can't make that happen on our own. So anyway, that's my little story. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Rich.
Denise?
Oh, I just wanted to finish up my little story with a positive. The purpose, Baba said, for the 3/4 of the world being destroyed is the new humanity. So I'm looking forward to that. I'll be around, I guess, as a baby at some point. So, I mean, that keeps me going. That's all.
Yeah, 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 and let's hope we're in the 1/4, you know.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Christina?
Hey, Ron, could you read that quote again? That was really interesting.
The quote was, be mindful of the goodness in all. I'll take care of the crap. And then to love all is not to love me. To love me in all is to love me. Attributed to Bob.
Yeah, I feel like lately one of my acts of resistance, you know, in terms of resisting being drawn into the chaos, right? The chaos that the political chaos is, you know, I think, you know, how can I resist this? By being as loving as possible to as many people as possible, no matter what their beliefs, political viewpoints, you know. And, you know, I have hard moments with the type of work I do because I see lots of people from all walks of life. And so when I have those hard moments, I say to myself, I'm just going to love the Baba in you, you know? This is Baba, you know? And that's all I can do. I feel like 2016 through 2020, I was on this huge emotional roller coaster ride. And I've committed to myself to watch the roller coaster, but not to ride it, right? To observe the roller coaster, but not to become enmeshed in it. And that's helped a lot. And then just also being as loving as possible to as many people as possible. That's my act of resistance. And I think it would make Baba happy. I know Kitty was, I listened to a few of Kitty's talks, and she was always very focused on pleasing Baba, right? And I think it would please Baba to try and just love the Baba in as many people as you can. So, yeah.
Bravo. Yeah. That's, I'm going to read something that, Payam first, but I'll read something from Baba.
Jai Baba, I
Yeah.
don't often share here, but many of you who share, I'm deeply impacted, and I love listening. So tonight I thought I'd share a little bit. And it's hard to say this, I'm a psychologist. I work with children, and I see incredible suffering almost every day. And, I've learned that if I stay in that space, it's really hard. And I've had to learn ways to cope with it, really. And thank you, Baba, because every day I offer to him. I don't know how to help. I don't always know. Most of the time, I don't know. So, some of you said, the mental suffering, I won't go into it, but it's also a Baba lover taught me this, a dear Baba lover. He says, what fractal, what layer of humanity and the world am I going to look through? What lens do I want to look through? And I bring it down to the moment someone said, and Christina, you said this, it was in a song, a Baba song, holding up the torch of his love. He showered me with so much love that is the way I want to show up, is his love in the world. And I ask sometimes, where am I needed? Or Jeff, you've shared this, where is love calling me to show up? And so that's where my focus helps me to deal with the suffering that I contend with in the people I work with every day. And so the worldly stuff, I can't even go there. The moment I think of it, I'm just like, I can't, my jar is going to just spill over. So I just stay with the little bit that I can do and holding up the torch of his love and just showing up as best as I can. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jay Baba.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
What
That's
does
so
Mother
beautiful.
Teresa say? To do small things with great love, isn't it? But here, I'm going to read something.
Yeah.
Just to mention, my parents had been like communists in the labor movement in this country. They helped to bring about labor unions, because this is back in the 30s. And so I kind of come from a politically conscious family. So I find myself working here at the center, just cleaning cabins, and seemingly nothing that's connected with the social fabric, I could think. But I read this, what Baba wrote here, and this really, I found really spoke to me. Because one of the things, besides having to deal with this world the way it is the powerlessness. What can I do in the face of this? And this is what Baba says, and I find it very valuable. Baba says, well, I'll start with this right here. Baba says, even the disciples who merely think of the Master or meditate upon him have the privilege of sharing the spiritual or universal work in which the Master might be engaged at that moment. And Baba is still here doing his spiritual work. As he is one with eternity, the Master is beyond time and all limitations of time. as he is also interested in the spiritual upliftment of humanity and assumes many of the limitations of time, and his work can be helped by the voluntary cooperation of his disciples. Now, the Master feeds upon the love of his disciples and utilizes the spiritual forces released by them for his universal work. Now, here's the sentences that made a great impact. In this way, the Master is like the relay station that receives a song only in order to broadcast it to the world at large. To love the Master is to love all, not merely symbolically, but actually. For what the Master receives on the inner planes of consciousness, he spiritualizes and distributes. Thus, he not only strengthens the personal links that the disciples may have with him, but also gives them the privilege of sharing his divine work. And what that means to me is that, you could even have a love of growing roses in your neighborhood. But if you do that and dedicate that to Baba, Baba will spiritualize your love and dedication and broadcast it to the world at large. So it's not just happening on a little small scale. I mean, it's like you have this garage band and you come up with some songs and you send it up to New York, they mix it, and then they send it out on all the radios throughout the country. So it is one of the fastest ways of changing the world, by just dedicating even our small little things that we do to Baba. And it does go out to the world. I mean, of course, some people may be called to do things in their community or even on a statewide level or something. But at the same time, wherever you are, by dedicating what you do, even you're taking care of your children or you're going to work and as a social worker and everything, all of that love that you put in there, Baba can spiritualize and broadcast it to the world at large. So that gives us, we don't have to just be victims of, we're just victims of a society that's going downhill. We can be sending love into the world. Nothing is stopping it. Okay, we're getting down to the end here.
Jeff, where did you get that from?
It's from the discourses.
Okay.
It's from the.
What page?
Oh, Baba.
Sorry.
I know. I shouldn't have closed the book.
Maybe the place of occultism, I think.
Yeah, it's the place of occultism.
Okay, thanks. Yeah.
It's.
Thank you.
But I found, that was a great assurance to me that even though I'm just cleaning cabins here and doing, stuff here, seemingly manual things, it goes out to the world. Otherwise, I would probably be, agitating somewhere to improve conditions. And there's nothing wrong with that, too. But all that we do on a small scale is helping the world. Okay.
Can I share one little thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's something that came up in the question and answer of my Baba at the UN thing. A song that Zeke sometimes likes to sing, which I thought kind of really fit this subject, which is Baba said there'd be days like this, there'd be days like this, my Baba said. Baba said there'd be days like this, there'd be days like this, my Baba said.
I remember that, yeah. And okay, Sharon, go for it.
Thank you. So I felt prompted to mention a Catholic saint some of you may have heard of. She was born into a Jewish Orthodox family in Germany. Her name was Edith Stein. She became a theological powerhouse in Germany, but then she had to hide out and was taken to Auschwitz, and she prayed for the prison guards. And today she's the patron saint of Europe, of certain countries in Europe, and her name is actually now Sister Saint Teresa Benedicta de la Cruz. And at the Vatican, she's a statue holding a cross in one hand and Jewish star, a Jewish representation in the other hand. And for some reason, I decided to mention her now. She gives me a lot of courage when I read about her writings, and her Jewish family went to the Vatican for the beatification, which was a step toward her becoming a saint. And some of my family in Northern California was actually in the same community as Edith Stein's niece, who's probably in her 90s now. Anyway, she's written a biography and some beautiful poetry, and she had great courage. She was offered a chance to escape to South America and declined because her sister would not be given that financial support to travel. So just wanted to say that, and thank you, Jay Baba.
Yeah, thank you, Sharon. Yeah, you don't have one of her poems there or something that she has said, or?
At some point, maybe I'll bring something.
Yeah, okay. So why don't we have a few moments of silence, and if anybody has a final quote, well, let's go ahead and have a few moments of silence. And thank you for sharing. And I, what can I say? Everybody is feeling this time. If you think of, during Baba's lifetime, World War II was going on. What a nightmare some of these people had to live through. All, during Baba's tenure on Earth here, you might say. Okay, let's have a few moments of silence.
You're muted, Jeff.
Oh, Jay Baba, sorry. Some people think that Baba should be able to just wave a magic wand and change everything. But I do feel Baba is here with us, experiencing all of this, not just through us, but all the people that are having to bear with this. It's like I say, he gets the worst of it, I would say, and we have a little part of it.
And hold on to Baba's Taman.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Oh, so Elizabeth's come we're at the end, but what do you have? Go ahead.
I came towards the end, but I wanted to pass on some information, if it's okay.
Yeah.
That's information of hope. Typically I go to I'm in a choir in a Presbyterian church. I couldn't go today because I dropped a tabletop on my ankles, which miraculously are okay. But I couldn't get the internet. So I thought, okay, I'll Google a service and see what Presbyterian churches are in Myrtle Beach. And I found one, and I clicked on it, and the person who is preaching is a well-known, internationally respected member of the Ionian community. He's speaking at First Presbyterian Church tomorrow at 2 different times, and Tuesday at 2 different times. He writes hymns. He's made presentations on 6 different continents. He did an incredible sermon about unknown women in the Bible, about granting inheritance to women. Anyway, tomorrow he's talking about the times that Jesus lived that are not written about, between 12 and 33. Anyway, I'm just letting you know that in case anyone's interested. He'll also be talking about why we sing. So if anyone's interested in the Myrtle Beach community, and I thought Charles and might be interested, you, Jeff, maybe. But if you just look it up, it says what he's speaking about. And he's a fantastic speaker and very uplifting. And the Ionian community is one that is very inclusive. And when I spoke to a woman about his being there, and if it was going to be online tomorrow, it's not. She said they had actually taken a group of some of their people to the Mayher Center, because she was asking me, why did you, I was explaining why I happened to Google Presbyterian churches in Myrtle Beach, and it was because the Mayher Center's there, and they had actually been there. And she had been with a group of people from her church to Iona to visit the ancient monasteries and the Ionian community there, etc. But anyway, I just wanted to pass that along because I felt that I was supposed to do that. You're muted.
Thank you. And does anyone have a final quote?
Yes, Jeff, I do.
Okay.
I have 2 of them actually, so they're short ones.
Yeah, and then we'll follow by Nasreen to shoo us out the door.
Okay. So Baba says, nobody suffers in vain, for true freedom is spiritual freedom, and suffering is a ladder towards it. Man unknowingly suffers for God, and God knowingly suffers for man. That's the first one. The second one is more uplifting. Baba says, terrible suffering is the sign of happiness and peace to come. Great heat denotes the coming of rain. Great suffering and intense sorrow indicate that happiness is about to dawn. So have hope, people. Keep thinking of Baba and have hope. That's it. Jai Baba.
Yeah. No, I think we can, I really feel all the efforts we make to remember Baba and love others is the highest thing we can do and keep us from just brooding on, to keep us from being pessimistic.
Yes.
Because we have, like Mani Baba's sister used to say, don't forget, it all has a happy ending.
There you go.
Okay, Nasreen.
Detach.
Yes.
Okay, yes. Actually, when Bauji was here, he was telling us if even there would be atomic bomb, you are going to be safe.
Exactly.
Do not worry about anything. So we are safe because we have Baba.
That's right.
Yes.
Oh, and let me insert here. There was one time, well, I don't know, maybe Tony remembers it, but there was a kind of a crisis, world crisis and everything, and they, Bao was here, I don't know if it was here or in New York, was going to say what's going to happen. Everybody wanted to know what's going to happen. And they're waiting to hear. Tony, were you there that?
I'm remembering a different one, so go on.
Oh, but anyway, and so they're wondering what's going to happen with this world situation. And Bao says, nothing is going to happen. Nothing ever happens. There's that point of view too.
About the atom bomb, Mayerji said that Baba at one point offered his daman to Mayerji, and he said, if you put this on when the atom bombs are falling, you will remain completely safe. And Mayerji gave it back to him and said, Baba, if I need this to trust you, then what good is the daman going to do? So,
yeah. Okay, Nasreen.
Okay, dear. Avatar meher baba kije. Avatar meher baba kije. Avatar meher baba kije. Yay, Baba.
Thank you, Nasreen.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you, Jeff.
And thank everybody for sharing, what you're going through.
Thank you, Jeff.
This time.
thanks for picking such a horrible subject.
Yeah.
By the way, I really appreciated what Khorshed, was written, that Khorshed wrote about creation, and it was something that was that I'd never thought about before, because I worry so much about the trees and all of that, the soil and what we're doing to it, and I'm just surprised to read that, and anyway, thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank
Well,
you, Jeff.
you all go back, and I will have to send Tony back to Italy, and some of these people, but
I'll go too.
yeah.
I've heard they're giving homes in Italy, actually, also in
I
Ireland.
know.
Americans who want to get out while the getting is good.
But
be careful
anyway,
if it's just Canada
you
or
go
Panama.
back, but like I say, Baba is the source of all wholesomeness. So hang out with him, and this unwholesome world and places won't quite get to us. Yeah.
I really see a lot of this, Jeff, as just the flourishing of ego-driven illusion. It's just ego-driven. You can just see it.
Oh, yeah.
It's not going to achieve anything, of course, because the ego is totally empty. It's just
it's
real.
Yeah. Well, we better let Jay Sema get a good night's sleep here. Yeah. He's got to work tomorrow.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah. Much love. Thank you.
Thank you. Che Bob,
Che
everybody.
Bob.